type, nice coat, white coke. How you live with that smoke? Hop in, jogging. I'm just kidding, I'm broke. Sit a lot, I've been waiting for the day I don't get my pay. Check will make me happy instead of me getting laid. Never done in the middle with a gun. Put a hole in his chest with a torso so don't fall right. In the sun, but until the desert dawns, we don't have no fun till we chillin' at my graveside. I'll be wishing I'm dead. I've been missing my friends. Get me out of my head. All the letters I sent. I'll be wishing I'm dead. I'll be wishing I'm dead. I've been missing my friends. Get me out of my head. All the letters I sent. I'll be wishing I'm dead.
Rocco, 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 our favorite rock. Rocco, 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 our favorite rock. Rocco, 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 our favorite rock.
Hello. That's probably my favorite one ever. I'm keeping that bad boy. That's a fun one. Oh, okay. I added the scream at the end. So I was concerned. I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna get copyright because I only use Doom music for like 15 seconds. So shouldn't have been too long. Evil. Oh. There are people that created like 2-hour videos of like Evil Elmo, like parts where the puppeteer, like he's just staring at the screen. Then they add music over it. It's kind of funny. So how's everyone doing? Oh, I did not look at that poll. So before we start, where should we start? Let's start with this guy. Yeah, hold on. Da, 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 na, na, da. Okay. I am curious. Okay. Let me see what you guys want me to do. I'm moving screens around. You want me to, well, 50 votes. Pretty good. So you guys want me to continue making fun of Paul, Tesla bag, SoFi bag holders? Okay. You guys don't care about my, I guess you go to Strongman for personal finance. Live stream. I'm going to, so if I just have no topics, I'll probably just put like let's hang or something where it's literally just informal. So if you want to skip it, there's not going to be anything significant in there. If there are topics, I'll put them in the live stream, like this one, kind of, and so forth. I'm starting to get out of audit season, so I can actually do more structured live streams. The last few months has been a lot of work, trying to get all the federal audits done that we're under. I'm like 80-90% done at this point. The last few pieces are coming together. Okay, nobody wants ETF reviews. Fair enough. So let's go back to this guy. So we'll start. So drink beer and rant like Jay Nagy. Dude, I honestly, if I did what he does, I'd probably swear so much that I'd get fucking kicked off of YouTube. Because when I get drinking, I start swearing way too much. So, but I enjoy Jay Nagy's live streams when I can catch him at night. That guy's funny. So I'm not that, I don't know. It takes a lot to piss me off, I guess, or rant about. I don't like the Tesla bros, SoFi bag holders, Paul. You know, there's a passion there. I can hate those people, so forth. Like, I don't hate all tech innovation meme stuff. I mean, I think PayPal's a real company. Like, PayPal's a real company with real profits and real growth potential. They're very interesting. So we can debate valuation, right? They're on the table, like as an investment. Like SoFi's not even on the fucking board at this point. It's such a non-starter of a company. I don't put it anywhere. It's in the same category as like Tattooed Chef or Oatly to me. But Palantir's like there. You could debate an investment. You could look at the valuation and the growth metrics, and there's something there. I wouldn't even argue that there is, but you can't lump all of these together. So this guy, I thought this was kind of fun. Maybe, and if you watch this, Mr. Thinking Decades, I don't really care. If you want to debate me, go ahead. So I saw, I don't know why this came on the algorithm. This is what was killing me. Why did YouTube push this on me? Right. And we talk about like YouTube just wants eyeballs. So they know I watch finance videos on YouTube. So they push this guy on me. Like, all he does is talk about Tesla so far. And first video, I went all in on Tesla. But YouTube pushed this video to me. So there's something to be said about the first video this guy does gets 1.6 million or 1,000 views. So just because a lot of people are talking about something on YouTube, I hope people realize it's just because they know what you, the viewing public, care about. SoFi, Palantir, Tesla, PayPal, it's all the same because they know that's what you want to hear. So don't think it's a good investment just because a lot of people are talking about it. But so this guy, his first video, all in, I went all in on Tesla.
First time.
So clickbaity, right? I haven't watched this whole thing, so I'm kind of curious what he says. So I'm gonna speed it up. All right. So I don't entirely know. I heard like the brief parts. I don't know everything he's talking about. So he's 25. He's put his life savings into one individual stock. Okay. So let's hear it. Now this is brand new, like a week ago. So he's aware of everything that's happened with Cybertrucks, Elon saying crazy shit. The shenanigans that went on at the last earnings call has all transpired since he made this video. Okay.
The same time, and I want to document my journey as I experience this and navigate this and look out for these.
If you can hear it,
Bacon,
can you hear this?
Out there, and I want to bring you with me. So let's get into the video. And I thought the first video on this channel should be and explain why I went all in Tesla stock in June 2020. So Tesla for me, and I'm repping today. Tesla for me really epitomizes this change. We have so many factors of this company that are all working together, all these technologies working together, that if you think in decades, is really going to change the world from, and I'll get into it, from AI to energy storage to electric vehicle. We have so many different parts of this company that are changing everything. And I'm going to get into the weeds in this video and explain why I put everything. And when I say everything, I mean every single pound that I had in.
All right. So he's all excited about all the bells and whistles that Elon talked about, right? Elon dangled the keys in front of you, or like, the baby thing when little plastic toy, like plastic keys, and they jiggle it in front of their babies to distract them. That's all Elon was doing. So this guy's like, yeah, that's it. Yeah. AI, robots, FSD, fucking yeah.
To this company. And I come from no financial background. I have no.
We'll get to his background.
Harvard, Oxford,
we will get to his background.
Cambridge. I had no one in my family that opened up.
He's got no problem
so this is
creating a finance channel.
I made a decision because I saw an opportunity. So to really go into this, I want to give.
I don't want to hear
all about Tesla and the change that's going to happen. And I remember watching and thinking, oh wow, the world isn't going to be the same. So a week after watching that film, I made the bet. I went all in. All
right, we're a story investor. Elon's going to change the world.
It was
story investors.
Yeah, don't forget that. And then, which follows nicely into compounding, I started to understand what compounding is, how you can really grow that snowball and let it grow and grow and grow and grow and grow.
Why are we talking about snowballs? If you want to talk about snowballs and compounding, you should buy something that pays a dividend that grows over time. Why are we talking about that? Tesla doesn't pay a dividend. So it's already a mixed bag here.
1 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 8, 8 to 16. It kind of just like opened this new circuit in my brain of something that I didn't know before. And I went all in June 2020.
We just drank the sauce,
and everyone
drank the Kool-Aid on Tesla.
Everyone thinks Tesla's gonna go to zero. I was in the real euphoric stage then, where in June 2020 we just went up. So I saw all that compounding, and I would DCA. Well, no, I would PCA. I'm British, so pound cost average my way in, and I'd see that compound effect, and that really stuck with me. Clean energy is the next point here. And I still never understood why people were put on short positions and want to bet against a company.
Okay, clean energy, a cool point. Okay, one minor thing. This is true. Electric vehicles use more chemicals, and they weigh more. They have more chemical compounds in them than ICE vehicles. I think it's been well proven so far that the production of an electric vehicle, when you compare the carbon cost of building an EV compared to the carbon cost of a ICE vehicle, similar. You have to drive the EV like 100,000 miles. I think some of the economists I've seen look at this before the EV actually represents a green benefit to the world, if that makes sense to you. So you have to drive it many hundreds of thousands, 100,000 miles before you offset the production carbon cost of that vehicle. And there are significantly more chemicals involved in the production of an electric vehicle and precious metals, which have to be mined. Lithium is one of the dirtiest, nastiest freaking metals to mine in third world countries. It harms humanity. So this is already just a complete shit show for you to say that EVs are green. That is just factually wrong. And then in most parts of the world, how do you produce electricity? Electricity is produced by fossil fuels in a lot of places in the world still. Natural gas, coal. If you want to talk green energy, you're talking like dams. You're talking not really solar, maybe some wind farms, but that's still such a small portion of the grid. So green, you're talking basically like nuclear. So that's incorrect also. This is factually wrong. There's nothing green about electric vehicles in a sense that you could even debate.
That is trying to change Earth for the better. And it's kind of like that Michael
All
Jordan.
right, we're
meme where it's
drinking to
like,
change the
"Oh,
earth,
don't push it,"
Elon.
because it really affects a compound effect other than Tesla.
I'm gonna
which
fast
is
forward. I can't
all of these
stand
different
this.
technologies working yet. But isn't that what investing is about? I'm investing in where I think things are going and where there's a bigger chance of that happening. And each four of these,
Yeah, you're investing in things that you think will happen in the future. Great point. You should be investing on things that you think will grow, and either the company will grow sales or the total addressable market of their businesses will grow, and they'll prosper. It's kind of what I've done with a few investments, but I don't go all in with one specific company, right? So if you believe in a green future, you could buy a more diversified basket of stocks that could benefit from a green future, not one company. You're putting all your eggs in one basket and one man. So, because damn well if Elon quits, gets fired, just think about it, right? We've seen all this. CEOs have gotten fired for sexual harassment. We've seen CEOs get fired for accounting scandals. We've seen CEOs quit. You don't know with Elon. He's got drug accusations. He's this new compensation thing. He could die. I mean, he's like 50 something years old. Again, you're putting your life's fortune and future, one man, one company. It's even worse like than normal. Like McDonald's, if you put all in McDonald's, you're not based on the CEO. So there is a strange arrangement with Tesla where you're so hung up. There are other companies like that. You could argue, if Jamie Dimon left Chase, it would probably, hurt their valuation also.
can be a company in their own. And that's why I love Tesla, because each four of these can be a company of their own. It's a startup of startups. And then we could even go to, X, the holding company.
It's not a startup of startups. What are you doing here? It's a car company. You want to go look at the revenue. This is like 85, 90% cars. Like, it's a car company. Okay. It's not a basket of startups. What is this?
Well, then Tesla is a part of SpaceX, Neuralink, Boring Company. I don't know if that's ever going to happen. That's probably for another video. But these four in themselves are startups.
All right,
software.
FSD part.
I don't see how it has any limits to it now that we have the neural nets training themselves. FSD is now training itself, and did this wrong, fixes itself. I didn't see this part of the fixes itself. And I think of FSD, I kind of like to break it down into like first principles approach, death itself. And that might sound wild, but I think of death, and I break death down. Okay, what are the ways that people can die? Well, one of those is transportation. Okay, and then one of those parts of the transportation, why people die in transportation? Well, cars. Well, why people die in cars? Because they're basically death machines. Well, why are they death machines? Well, we have human beings driving. Well, why human beings driving? Because, we haven't got...
There is, I will repeat this, and I could pull the studies up, but I don't want to right now because it's late. But I've looked into this. There's no definitive proof that self-driving cars are safer for people than non-automated cars. And there's been economists look at this where you base per million miles how many accidents, and automated cars actually in some of these studies were even more dangerous per million miles driven than human driven vehicles. So again, this whole fallacy that autonomous vehicles are safer just because they're taking human decision making out of this, not accurate. There's no proof of this. They just keep spouting this because Elon says it. Elon says it all the time. So it has to be true because he said it, their Lord and Savior. But I've shown here the National Highway Transportation Board does studies. I've pulled it up on my channel before. They study autopilot and automated driving. It's like level 2 and then level 2 automated. They're two separate reports. There's tons of accidents. All right. And Tesla's responsible for a lot of the accidents in general on those vehicles. So there's nothing to this claim. There's nothing to this claim that automated driving, especially FSD, it's not FSD because there's a person, you have to be sitting in the driver's seat. We're not there. FSD does not exist yet. Doesn't exist. You have to sit in the car and you have to have your hands on the steering wheel and jiggle the steering wheel, and the camera in the car make sure that you're paying attention because of the recall on the autopilot systems that I mentioned like a month ago. So now it's even worse. You have to constantly like pay attention, otherwise the car will beep at you. So there's nothing automated about this. And there's plenty of people online posting videos where FSD has to have safety interventions like all the time. So again, there's nothing here. There's nothing here with FSD yet. And to me, there never will be, but we can disagree with that part.
The technology yet to make human beings be able to get in a car and not have to drive themselves. Okay, well, why are they crashing? Well, they're crashing because they might be tired after work. They are on their phone. They may have mental health problems for 1 weekend, and them driving is not a great idea. They might be depressed as part of that. They might be drinking alcohol. They might be on drugs. So many of these reasons that stops with FSD. FSD bumpers that and moves all of those out of the way and creates.
So he makes it sound like there's just 50% of Americans or of the world are just chugging beers and smoking pot while they drive. Like, come on, people, come on. Like, you can go look at the statistics on accidents and what percentage of accidents are caused by alcohol and drugs. Like, he's just going way off the deep end on this, that it's some sort of just pandemic problem of mankind.
Creates, thinking of that first principles approach is FSD is inevitable. Once the technology is right, why would a government, unless they want to screw over humanity, why would government want to stop that? We have, say in the UK, I think about.
Why would the government want to stop this? Okay, that's the part. So he's like, FSD is inevitable. Why would a government stop this from coming? Okay, cool. Let's look at what we talked about. Cruise was functioning autonomously for a brief moment in San Francisco, meaning no driver, right? So it was actually no driver, automated driving. But so to say, oh man, we're almost there. What they didn't tell you was there was like 3-4 people on the back end that were still controlling the damn car. So you save one driver, but now you have a bunch of back end support to run the system. So you took one person, replaced them with 3 or 4 people. So that's not a savings in labor, number one. And those people are probably better paid than that driver. So you took a low paid driver and you replaced him with more, professional, higher educated people on the back end to run an autonomous system. So that was bullshit. Same thing with Tesla. I mean, again, this is not a functioning system. It's not functioning. And then also a Cruise ran over a woman and dragged her. And I've said this before. These people don't understand. There's a difference between you driving a car and an autonomous vehicle. Major difference. Society accepts that a person's in a car and things can happen that are bad because people are not perfect, right? So we have errors. Things happen in life. Society accepts that society will not accept a robot automated car hitting a woman and dragging her down the road. So the first time it happens, if a state even considered making this allowable, it's just gone, right? Or it blocks an ambulance or a fire truck from getting to a fire, or God help you, it hits a kid. I mean, people will not accept it. It's not about numbers. And you can say all day, thousands of people die in these accidents, society accepts that it's a reality because people have to drive cars to go places. We don't have an option, but we do have an option about allowing autonomous vehicles to drive on the road. We definitely have an option of not allowing it. And politics is a different game. You can't just say the technology will exist. Why would politicians prevent it? Well, they will. That's the answer, because it does matter. All right. I work in government. I've written regulation. Like, get your whole ideas of this out. Like, his ideas here of it's inevitable. Why would they stop it? It's not inevitable. And the government can totally not allow this to happen if it's not safe. So dude, you don't even know what you're talking about, whoever you are. Like, I work in government. You're saying that the government won't block this. Yes, they will. It's nonsense for you to not understand that is a reality. The government can not allow this. Airplanes have basically autonomous systems in them, right? airplanes basically fly themselves these days, but there's still a pilot that's in the vehicle or in the cockpit, and there always will be. It doesn't matter how autonomous you make airplanes, there will always be pilots that are ready and able to take over. So that's what, when you say the FSD and automated driving is inevitable, I don't agree with you. I don't think you're right. I think we're way further away than that from that. Accepting, it's not even about the technology. Will society accept that this is a reality? You guys don't, the tech people like this don't even consider that portion, because they just think about the technology and they think, well, why would anyone stop innovation? Well, sometimes people do. Like sometimes it gets too ahead of itself and it's dangerous sometimes. So
30,000 collisions a year.
and mind you, Mr. Do that it's inevitable. It doesn't work yet. It's still a beta. It's not, I don't think it'll ever be totally finished, FSD. And then you got to have 50 states in America approve this. Every state, the federal government has nothing to do with the regulations of motor vehicles in each state in America. That's not a federal power that was given to them in the Constitution. So every state would have to prove this. So you tell me how long that's going to take. It'd take a long friggin' time.
Obviously, a lot of deaths in that as well. You can stop that by having these cars, or at least bring that down by 90-something% just by
Like I said, prove to me the statistics that automated driving systems are safer on the road than people. Like, quit saying that. Prove it. Show some sort of study done by like a university or the National Highway Transportation Board or somebody. Prove that, because they just keep saying this is a talking point. It's not true. I've never seen proof of that.
Norway. Sometimes you have to be in front of it to.
All right, let's get to robots.
Take Japan, for example, or another country that's I think Netherlands and Germany as well have their issues with population decline and birth rates falling. Productivity then falls.
A lot of people have alleged that the demo, I haven't gotten in the weeds about it. The demo of the folding shirts was fake. A lot of people wonder because you can see people around the robot that's folding shirts like off screen. They briefly come in and it's like, it looks like it's very programmed, right? And we're not exactly sure.
Optimus comes in. Optimus is solving a problem, a huge problem, which will affect GDP. Optimus solves this because of all the reasons I've already mentioned. This thing just doesn't stop. Can Optimus be a police officer? Yes. Can Optimus be a...
Do I even have to repeat that? Can Optimus become a police officer? Bro, are you fucking kidding me? If we ever... I'm going to bring this up first if we ever talk. How stupid do you sound to say that? A police officer is going to be a freaking robot? What, did you just watch the Terminator before this? Like, you just watched the Terminator? You just wanted to say something cool? You sound ridiculous. Ridiculous. Is this how they all start? This is like the birth of how Tesla shills start. They are so excited about all this technology they can't handle it. Yeah. Fucking, he must have watched RoboCop. Are you kidding me, dude? Robot cops. My God.
A bouncer at a nightclub? Yes. Can Optimus look after the elderly? Yes.
You're gonna have a robot bouncer. We went from folding shirts to it enforcing the law, and now kicking people out of nightclubs. Cool.
Can Optimus clean your
Really
house?
cool.
Yes. Can Optimus?
It can barely walk. It can barely walk at this point.
Like,
and we could
Optimus
argue
can do
it's
so many things.
pre-programmed to walk, they would say.
If we can get the right, well, it's can get the right. You know, BMW teaming up with the robotics company recently.
I'll do an Optimus video, I think, at some point. One point, there are already robots that do jobs for minimum and they're like, well, we need robots for low-level tasks in factories because we're running out of people. The population is declining. So we need to take away some of those lower end tasks. The population is getting older and we need to like elevate people, right? Fair enough. We already have robots that do tasks that are menial tasks. You have welding robots that can do like 300 spot welds. Why do they have those robots? Because it's a monotonous job that needs to be done perfectly every time. And to have a person do 300 spot welds perfect, on a car over and over again, there's going to be errors. So we have already automated a lot of tasks in society that we needed to. Here's the key though. These robots don't need to have freaking legs. There's no reason that a robot that is used in a factory needs to have legs and arms. Like, just get beyond the humanoid part. Why does it have to have arms and legs? Like, a welding robot is just a giant arm that just goes around and zaps all the parts of the car. Amazon has robots that pick up the boxes and carry them around their warehouses. Doesn't need legs. It's a little freaking like iRobot looking thing with wheels. Like, why does it have to have legs? It looks great for the optics, you know, I guess to show retail investors, but we already have these things in place. One other point, why do you think that competitors of Tesla would use Tesla's robot? Why wouldn't they just make their own robot? So you imply that Tesla will dominate this to such a degree that other companies will buy the robot and will pay anything that they want for it. I mean, how many examples of that in the world do you have? Basically, NVIDIA's GPU right now, right? Anybody in the world it wants them, and they'll pay whatever they have to get them because they have no choice. Like BMW just started making robots for menial tasks themselves. So BMW is capable of making robots that look like humans. Toyota's done it. I've seen Hyundai has done it before. This is not like that evolutionary that you think it is. Like, but he's going to talk about the AI. The AI is the part because Elon knows these robots exist. It's the AI part that he has to keep flooding you with to get your attention. Again, we're jangling keys in front of you.
There was a recent robotics company just concept design for the next gen vehicle, and it's really interesting because we've seen.
Bro, that looks
like,
terrible.
like a verb, like, oh, would you ever?
Okay, I gotta get
a record, a double.
Finally, the last thing that actually I would argue, if I wanted to make an investment thesis on Tesla, I would say quality vehicle production. They have maybe like gigafactories are a competitive advantage for them, and their energy business. That's the thesis I see with Tesla. And then eventually the hope that you could spin off SpaceX and get some sort of shares out of it. But so the last thing he talks about is the actual thing I would be interested in if I wanted to buy Tesla would be the energy business. I think there's something there with Tesla. But of course, he probably rambles briefly because it's not so edgy and innovative as all the other shit you want to talk about. And the comments are kind of funny. Like some people were like, bro, really? Like, let's see, there's one. 30%. Even that's a lot, but you know, I can at least live with someone with 30% Tesla. That I wouldn't kill you over that. Tesla will probably do a 5 or 10x, but it ain't happening until 2030. Okay. So now it's gonna be the most valuable company in the world, and it makes cars. I mean, you have to believe in all the other stuff to say it's gonna 5, 10x, obviously. You have to believe in all some of that comes a reality because a car company ain't going to be the most valuable company in the world ever. So there's that guy. So I thought it's just funny because it's like, well, here is the advent of a new Tesla guy, right? He's going to make all his videos about Tesla, I'm sure. So now I found, let me go to my other tab. So I looked at his, he has an Instagram page. So just mind you, like, so who are these people that you follow? So let's go to his page. So, you know, I'm not a Wall Street guy. I'm just an accountant that does auditing. So I look at financial statements. I've been doing this 20 years, you know. So I'm not going to, you know, you don't have to be an investment banker. Fair enough. He's not selling a course. Fair enough. But like, I go to his Instagram. So I'm like, okay, is there so he's going to create a channel talking about investing in Tesla. So what's his background? Fair point. We don't have to crucify him about it. So we look, okay, he's got, oh no, an honorary degree. So he doesn't, that's not anything. And then you look down here. Okay, interesting. Sports. So he is a sports communication and marketing person. Okay. You can see he's got all these sport photos. So I think he wrote it in here. Yeah. I started my career in broadcasting at a university and studied communication. I'm thankful. It makes me feel so welcome. So he has no financial background at all. Didn't go to business school, never worked in anything related to financials at all, banks, nothing. He is a sport communication guy. So these are the people that you listen to about investing. If you want, like, I'm sure you're a nice guy, dude, but like what business do you have talking about Tesla? You're not an engineer, so you don't understand. At least some of the Tesla people are engineers, like for God's sakes, but you're a sports communication guy. Why couldn't you make a YouTube channel about sports and marketing? I might be interesting. I'd like to watch that. But no, you're going to make a channel about Tesla investing and you are in sport marketing. I like this is who you follow when you go on YouTube for investing. Good luck to you, dude. I don't know. This is kind of ridiculous. When you say stuff, people find out and they'll comment. He'll comment, I'm sure. Whatever. I didn't swear, so. All right, what else? And this is how they start, right? What is this? How does he know anything about investing in Tesla? I mean, everything he said was story investing in that video about why he bought it. He's a story investor, like most retail people. You're a story investor. You start as like a chart guy, and then maybe eventually you learn some financials to actually adapt and become a better investor. Let's see. Oh my God, you guys have been anything here? Let's see. No. Just look through the comments. Probably big, Paul Short. Okay. Oh, by the way, so Paul is down $10 million. We did it. Or he did it. So we track his short. We track the base case based on what he said in his videos. The base case, because he could have done more. But so we're assuming a couple million premium upside is what he said. So we projected $2 million premium collection at the beginning. And then like at the money, because that would have created more premium. And then I provided the time frame. So we projected like, I think it was March, April of 2023. So when we're pretty sure he did it. So he's down $10 million. So if you're going to ask, is he still in it? Answer, well, he said he's going down with the ship. He hasn't done any videos otherwise. So he's still in it. And then you could say, did he really do this? Yes, he really did this. He said this on repeated videos. He doesn't talk about it anymore, though. He also said he was going to personally finance this loss from his family trust in a video like a few months ago. That was like 5 million ago in losses. So he is just completely destroying himself over this NVIDIA short. I know I've said NVIDIA could be $1,000 a stock or share this year. I said it at the beginning of the year. What are we at? 700? It could totally get to 1,000. There's nothing broken about the thesis on NVIDIA yet. Nothing's broken on the thesis on this company. It totally could go to $1,000. Doesn't mean I'm going to get into it because it could absolutely get cut in half if things go the wrong way. But I mean, it could be $1,000 by 4th of July at the rate it's going. So quite the stock to friggin' short. One of the best companies in the world right now. They can literally they make every GPU they make, they sell it at the price they want. Right. And then and you can't do anything about it. Like Elon wants to make Dojo, too damn bad. You got to buy NVIDIA chips. And Facebook, too bad. You got to buy them. There's no substitute for them at this point. AMD is interesting, but it's not the same. It's not on par. Do we got to give credit to Jeremy? Does Jeremy give credit for changing from after picking massive losses? I mean, I don't really go after Jeremy too much because it's just not I didn't really know Jeremy until Strongman was telling me about him. And then I briefly see his videos when him and Echoes go after him. Like, Jeremy is what he is. I mean, those two guys cover it pretty well. I don't see how he can say he's made money because we've tracked. I mean, like Echo said, he lost like $3 million during the clown market. And then he's bragging about making like $1 million or $2 million. Like, the math doesn't make sense. So he's got unlimited losses, I guess, forever. Okay. What even is a sports communication degree? Not a dig. I don't really know. He said he works in sports and he has a communication degree. I don't know if there's a sport communication degree. There's a sports management degree. I've seen that, which sounds like a really cool program if you want to get into that line of work. I don't know if that's how you get in that line of work or if you just start interning with some area. But like, Dan needs to chill attacking Jeremy. Don't think Dan could ever do what Jeremy has done in year to date. Finance community. I don't attack Jeremy ever. I can't even think when I have. All right. So I just want to bring this up too. So there was a Tesla Cybertruck, and they brought like all the electric trucks, a Rivian and a Ford Lightning. They do different articles on EVs, this website, and they were just screwing around with them, going off-roading, doing donuts and all this shit. So here's like the video. So anyways, as they were doing donuts with all the various trucks, the Cybertruck's axle broke. The wheel fell off. It's all fun and games until the Tesla's wheel falls off. Oh, so funny. And then they have like they broke. So here you go. You can see the Tesla Cybertruck broke the right rear tie rod. So they snapped it. Just doing donuts. That's not normal. Like, how many of you have done donuts in cars your whole lives? I've never snapped a suspension or tie rod doing donuts in a car. So this is a brand new Cybertruck, and I brought this up in another video. There's investigations in several countries about suspensions basically snapping in various models of, I think it was like the Model 3 and the Y. So it was like Sweden and I think Germany maybe, because like people buy brand new cars and like within the first 1,000 miles, like they were snapping and you could see photos of it. And who did it? There was somebody did a big article. It was Insider or some major article. I covered it in my Cybertruck video or one of my Tesla videos, though. I thought it was funny. But all right, so this is, I'm not going to dig him too much, but I saw this, so I just want to comment on this. So Tevis, who is part of like the Tanner crew, Tanner doesn't show his portfolio, so we can't even judge it. He won't show his portfolio. Mind you, he could show his portfolio with allocation percentages. He doesn't have to show dollar amounts if he's concerned about the family issues, which again, I've said, like, you're going to sell a course promising 10x investing. You should have to show results about your investing at the very least. Maybe he doesn't have to show his portfolio, but I think he should. If you're going to claim that you can, you're going to teach people how to 10x invest growth investments. But so if he wants to post this, so be it. Tevis wanted to. I mean, I don't post my allocations. It's a lot of index funds and some dividend stuff I've mentioned. But so I was like, he's a growth investor, right? So let's see what growth invest. I always love these people label themselves value and growth. So here's a growth investor. 40%. Again, here we go. Individual stock Tesla. And then he's SoFi. I think I've gone over this a lot. And then this was like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Sol. So we're doing a bunch of Bitcoin and shit coins. Unity. Oh, that's cool. Pinterest, Corsair. Corsair's garbage. We all know that. Revolve. Where'd you get Revolve's idea? Gee, I wonder. Coinbase. That's not going so great now. And then it's funny. Some of these, Etsy, all these down here are all like, if you go look at the charts of these, they like rocketed up during the clown market and then they're back down. And now they're like 70, 80, 90% down. Some of these Pixie has down here. Lemonade, Redfin, Fiverr. This one's hilarious. I'll give him credit. He shows it, or he doesn't show it, but he's got it on his chart. So a lot of his growth, it's just funny because a lot of these growth investors on YouTube, they call themselves growth investors or disciples of Cathie Wood. The charts of the companies they buy like almost always look like this. Rocketed up for that 1.5 year period and then slow declining death after because they don't make money. They're unprofitable, share diluting garbage. Like again, this probably all of his companies that he's got invested, most of this growth stuff. Again, unprofitable, share diluting crap that ripped up during the clown market. And now it's just getting crushed over time. But this is what people have, this is what they're telling you is growth investing. What's this? Fiverr. If I ever talk to frickin', I swear to God, this one kills me. Oh, look, is that a similar shape? Have you seen this shape before? All of them look like this. All of them look like this. Woo, and death. Like, what else has he got? Let's do the other one. Redfin. Okay, Redfin. Oh, have we seen this shape before or haven't we? It looks freaking familiar, doesn't it? Oh, Lemonade. He had Lemonade. Let's look at that. Is that thing even hopefully he hasn't gone bankrupt. Meet Kevin's darling, Lemonade. Oh, same thing. Look at that. Rip, death. Over and over and over again. And again, like these are the people you are listening to. And he picked one. If he had Tesla during that market, then he made good money, and then he thinks he's a growth investor, and then you can pick anything. And then everything else here is a bunch of crap. I'm sorry, but everything other than Tesla, unless he bought Bitcoin years and years ago, I mean, this is all just like nothing. So I thought, it'd be kind of fun. What if I made a growth? This is just a really, really quick, stupid thing, but I don't label myself as this, but so let's go to Investopedia for what a growth investor is, because I think people say, well, a growth investor is someone that buys stocks that are in companies that are rapidly growing. Well, I've always assumed growth investing is you're buying companies with explosively growing revenue, right? So that's the most important part of a growth investment, like that I've always thought. This Investopedia says it's really just a strategy that focuses on increasing an investor's capital. So it's just trying to make as much money as fast as you can. So that seems kind of an odd way to put it. Growth investors typically invest in growth stocks that are small or old. So now we're identifying though growth stocks have specific metrics to some companies, like SCHG has specific criteria. If you watch my video on that, they take the SCHX, which is the 750 biggest companies US, which is Dow Jones, and then they split it with their criteria into value companies and growth companies. So that's their definition of growth. Some people probably think growth is literally just anything that could 10x for you, or just double digit revenue. I don't think there's solid definitions of some of this stuff. So basically we're going to go with this one. We're going to invest in a strategy that will maximize my capital, because I say I don't care about volatility, diamond hands. So I thought I'd have some fun with it. So this is what I'm going to create. Where'd I put it? All right. So here's my fun. So I take Tevis's portfolio of a bunch of clown companies that rip in death. So here's my idea. I just messed around with it. So it's still the core satellite idea. So 50% would be SCHG, which is large cap growth. So that encapsulates the growth aspects of the highest, like the large and some of the mid cap in the US. And I think it's a great fund. Or the other option would be SSO, which is a 2x leveraged S&P 500, which kind of goes with the research I did about leveraged investing. I think it will perform. And if we're about growth, we're about maximizing. We want high risk, but we want the reward to go with it. So then to pair with this, I would pick a value international small cap fund, because if you look at factor investing, actually for small caps, you want value funds, not growth, which if you look, a lot of times it is track out. You take a value and a growth ETF, like small cap, and almost everyone I've looked at, the value one does better. So it is like the research has proven a point. So that would be my international of this growth, would be a small cap international value fund. And then I would have WCBR as a small satellite, which is cybersecurity, because I think that'll perform very well. Just picking a basket, all of them. SMH would be another satellite holding of like 5%, which is just the fabs, right? The semiconductor industry. It's just like the very specific 27 or 29 holdings that are in fabrication and semis. And then, believe it or not, I would put crypto. I would put a small holding in crypto, either Bitcoin or Ethereum. And then I would leave 15% for a focus on small cap and mid cap investing in the US. That's where I would focus my attention if I was going to want to be a growth investor looking to maximize. So based on my strengths, I would want to focus my time and effort on mid cap, small cap US investments, looking for those potential, let's say 5x opportunities, let's say 2 to 5x. So I think I could have an edge looking for those. And that's where I'd want to devote my time if I was a growth investor. So there you go. That would be my interpretation of what a growth investor could look like. So to me, to try and manage an entire portfolio, like, especially if you work, but even if you're like, this is all you do all day, it's a lot of work to look at like equities and look at their finances and project out what they could be. So I would just make it so a lot of this is automated. I'm only focused on the 15% here. The rest of it would pretty much just, run itself. And then I could, debate, like, should I buy Bitcoin or Ethereum each year? So this is just a fun game theory. If you copy this, you will go to your own doom. All right. Don't want to talk about this one. This is funny. This one, how to start an aggressive growth investment portfolio at 30. Some of the things people put on Reddit, they like hey, I'm 30. I want to be an aggressive growth investor. It's like, what does that even mean? Like, how about you just get like $10,000 of the S&P 500? Just do that. Get there, read some books, and just get to that. That's like a baby step number one. Like, can you just do that? Then we can talk about other stuff. But like, you're brand new to investing and you want some complicated growth portfolio. It's just nonsense. Like, this is pretty much where I've come to at this point. It's like, you're brand new to investing. Cool. $10,000 in an S&P portfolio, ETF. Read some Peter Lynch, read some Warren Buffett, read some freaking Walk Down Wall Street book. There's a few other. Read like 4 or 5 of these books, then come with some base that you could come to Reddit or find some groups that you could kind of understand what's a good group and what's a bad investment group. So you can tell, and then you have something where you could actually draw from before you start looking at investment ideas. But I don't know why this label of being a growth investor. Like, you get people like this. This dude's like a Joseph Carlson clone almost. And it's like, okay, he's a growth investor. Because he put it, and I followed this guy before. So here's his idea of growth. Crocs. Okay. So where was it? 50% of account. I know you probably can't see it because it is fuzzy even on mine. 50% of his account is Crocs. Are you kidding me? It's like, the problem is with these people, if you're gonna go, like, they won't consider ETFs. And I don't know why they won't consider putting ETFs as part of a portfolio. Growth investors, especially. And even dividend investors don't really want to, but some dividend investors accept you should have some ETF exposure. So you're taking something off the table as far as your personal research. So some of your portfolio is just kind of like almost automated to some degree. Like, you accept that, like, to me, like, I accept cybersecurity, I think is a very interesting, and I think it will do well, or thesis for investing. But I don't really want to get into the nuts and bolts of cybersecurity companies. So I just like kind of bought a basket of them based on professional research. So far, so good. Like, take some of this off your table with this portfolio management. But like 50% Crocs. Does anybody think that's a good idea? And Crocs is volatile as hell, right? It was $130 and it was down to 70. And now it was up to 100. And now it's down to 90. It's extremely volatile stock to have 50% of your money in. And to me, I have some Crocs, and we talked about it on Capital Mindset. I think Crocs is an interesting speculation for sure, based on its valuation and can they get by the Hey Dudes, and it could double from where it is. Believably, I've run my own numbers on it. So, but to fit 55%, like, come on, like, if you had it be like 2 or 3% of your portfolio, and it doubles, you did great. Like, that's awesome. Like, you did well. But then, like, here, Dropbox, that 30% Dropbox, 30% PayPal. What are we doing? So it's just like ugly shoes, tech, a shitty finance checkout button, and a drink company. That's it. And then some options. So it's kind of interesting to see what growth investing means to people, because everyone wants to bash dividend investors. I see it all the time. Oh, let's bash the dividend investor with 40 holdings. Like, well, let's look at what you guys do on the other side to me, because this is different to me. I've never understood this. The growth investing, like, most people can't handle the volatility of this growth investing anyways. So, would you have held Crocs when it went from 130 to 70? Probably would have sold it and then missed out on any upside. Most people probably couldn't do this type of investing anyways. People that had Facebook at 300 and dropped to 80, they probably bailed on it because they couldn't handle it. And now they'll say they liked it the whole time, but that doesn't matter. You sold it. So this guy actually seemed to have his ducks in a row. So he said he's like a growth investor, and he's got like 30 holdings, but the weightings of it actually makes sense how he structured it. So I like this guy. I thought was a good example of growth investing, the intelligent investor. I haven't watched any others videos, but a lot of large cap tech, right? Which honestly, if you're a growth investor and you don't have large cap tech, is like your number one conviction in a growth investment. To me, I think you're making a mistake, because the thesis on large cap tech, everyone makes jokes that it's already run so high, like, it's a bubble. Like, these companies are such cash flow machines, and we're just starting with the AI revolution. I don't know, like a good base for a growth in portfolio should be large cap tech, in some form, I think. But some of these, like you saw Tevis, like you're basing your growth portfolio on a bank and a car company. Like I'm missing where this is a growth portfolio. It's more like just a crappy portfolio that's super concentrated in like 4 or 5 things that make no sense, and they're not. I don't see how they go together at all, other than you watch a lot of YouTube. So, but like he has, he's got a Bitcoin ETF, Alibaba. Like, okay, you want to, spec on that. I don't really hate what he has, and he's got some pretty decent weightings. Facebook, Alphabet. So he picked individual big cap tech. JD, fair enough. Mastercard, great. Microsoft, Nvidia, awesome. I know he has owned that for a while. So there can be some good people in growth, but I just think most people, like, you say you're growth, it seems to mean a lot of different things. You're a growth investor. And I don't know how many people could actually, you got to pick those few companies that do. If you're going to individually pick stocks, growth investing, right? A lot of them don't do well. That's the risk you take with this type of investing. One last thing I'll show. Hold on. I'm going to show a part of Peter Lynch's book. This is the part that I think growth investing, when I think of it, this is what I think of, because Peter Lynch was like, to me, like the grandfather of growth investing as far as I was aware of. I never lived this, but this is how he talked about it and went up on Wall Street. So in my experience, 6 out of 10 winners in a portfolio can produce a satisfying result. I've seen that metric before where they're like, you just need to pick 6 of 10, right? You just have to be slightly better than 50-50. So your losses are limited to the amount you invest in each stock. It can't go lower than 0. I should zoom in. Invest 1,000 in a clunker. Worst case, you lose 1,000. Invest in 1,000 in a high achiever. You could make 10, 15, 20,000 over several years. All you need for a lifetime of successful investing is a few big winners, and the pluses from those will overwhelm the minuses from stocks to work out. So, like, this is what Peter Lynch did in the Magellan Fund. Like, he was like the growth investor. He had an absurd amount of investments in the Magellan Fund. I think someone said hundreds or 1,000 investments, but this was what he was playing. The worst you could do is lose your investment. But if you pick the right small, like, growth company, small up and coming company, you could 10, 20x your money. And then if you can find just a few of those per handful, you'll do amazing. So to me, like, that is growth investing. You have to pick like a diverse amount of these small companies and hope a few of them really rocket, like Tesla, right? You'd picked a basket of these, like, 2015, maybe Tesla was in that basket. Tesla did so well, it overcame like the 80 out of 100 you had that did nothing, and you had a great return. This is what I've always thought of as growth investing. When I see like Tevis's like extremely concentrated portfolio, I'm like, is this growth? And is this really what growth investing is? I think you take on so much risk by having like 4 or 5 holdings only. Like, there's so much risk of you doing terribly because you're basing it on just these few handful of companies or crypto, like he had. So I don't get it, but maybe someone gets it. And you're going to tell me you bought Tesla 5 years ago and it's crushed for you. Like, I mean, good for you. You picked the one that did well. Can you replicate that? The odds are that you can't replicate that. So you should just be happy you got one. Like Peter Lynch said, you only need a few winners in your life to make life-changing money. You don't need to keep replicating like a winner like that over and over again to be successful. But if you keep pursuing that, it could be to your downfall, because things can go bad. Tattooed chef. All right. Last one. One more slide. I'll do I'm gonna do a military video. I will at some point, now that I'm getting more free time. I don't want to do it short because it's my favorite actually investment, area. Actually, is probably industrial, but more specifically, I love military investing. And I wish I have a drone defense company that's actually it's doing really well right now, actually. So I this is what I want to get across about drones. I think don't look at drones. It's not about the offensive capability drones. I think you should pursue the defensive investment. That is where I think we could make some money because like if we'll watch a piece of this video, but this is like you should be paying attention to what's going on in Ukraine because that is described. This is like the first 21st century war that we've had of the modern era.
Footage showed how T-90M tanks were targeted and
Meaning that you had two modern militaries. So we're not doing wars on terror where you're fighting guys out of caves. Okay. This is like the first modern war, one nation versus one nation, right? With all their technology behind them and industrial power.
taken out using low-cost DIY drones. As we witness million-dollar tanks surrender to relatively affordable DIY drones, one can't help but questions. Are these million-dollar tanks truly as powerful as they are often advertised? Or could it be their power is somewhat overrated? Cheap hobby drones.
So they buy like cheap hobby drones, just civilian drones. They don't care. It's just got to fly for like 20 minutes. It's all that matters. Or what Ukraine's even doing is they're 3D printing the parts of these things. Basically, they're 3D printing like all the plastic parts that you can see. And then I think they only need to import like the battery and maybe just a small circuit board, just long enough to run it for 20 minutes, right? Then they can strap like, you see like a little block of C4 or grenade on it, and then off they go. It costs what, a few $100s, maybe $1,000, and then you can launch that after like $1 million piece of equipment. So and they've actually limited their artillery fire because they're limiting they don't have so many shells now that we're not producing them for them. And they're expensive. Those cluster munitions are expensive to produce, actually. So that's why I would be very leery of the offensive drone investment, because we used to think it was going to be these very expensive, like Reaper drones America had that could fly for a day straight that cost, $20 million. They had all the bells and whistles, all the sensors, but in modern war, it's not. It's about like these cheap drones, like just swarms of these like $400 hobby drones. They even have these here. So
or badly damaged, known to the makers, and what you
so they have cardboard drones. Even this Australian company, it's cardboard, and then you strap a little charge of C4 on it, and off you go with it. So, but this is a future reality of warfare. You have wars are going to be decided by these cheap drones, precision artillery, and precision missiles. Also, obviously, like HIMARS and was it Gimlis? But it's about like how many targets do you have? Like, yeah, cruise missiles are cool, but how many targets are worth a $5 million cruise missile? When you get to 2-3 years into a war, you're going to blow up like a transformer for an electric, like the grid. Like, how much does that cost? Is that worth a $5 million cruise missile to take that target? So, you have to think about it in that way. It's like, yeah, we can build amazing technology, but it's like the price of it when you're at war. It's got to be related. Like you're not launching a ship missile against a building that has like a platoon of soldiers in it. It doesn't make sense. You need that thing to take a ship out to make it to make the sense of actually launching it in the first place. So, but I think defense, like, it's not solved. Drone defense is not solved, not even close. There's all sorts of different theories about how to defend against drones. Electronic warfare, there's laser tech, there's even lasers that they can zap them, which I think that's kind of the weirdest one. There's Rheinmetall has got exploding munitions based on radar guidance. That's pretty cool, but it's probably expensive to produce it. What else? Electronic jamming is the oldest one, which is not always perfect. The Russians are finding out their electronic jamming is not stopping the Ukrainians at all. So it's a micro cap, so I don't want to talk about it. It's not even an American company. It's almost doubled since I bought it, but I don't want to talk about it. So you can find it yourself, maybe. Let me scroll down. Sorry. 50% Crocs. Yeah, that guy was 50% Crocs. ETFs are fire in a good way. Cybersecurity. Yep. This thing is like a lot of people in our group, they just bought CrowdStrike, and maybe it is the best of the breed, but I didn't care to find out if it was. I just figured there's not that many cybersecurity companies. If you just are focused on that industry, it's only like 25 or 30 companies. If you find an ETF that has more than that, they've included not pure cybersecurity companies into it to create a bigger basket. So if you see one that's like 40 or 50 stocks, they've included probably some software companies in it. Um, Fabio thinks 50% Crocs is a good idea. Like the Crocs is a good speculation. If things go a certain way, the valuation of the stock right now could be very good for you. And people like Vornado. So I bought Vornado and I understood there was big risk with that investment. And I'm like, I looked at the valuation when it was like $22, and I'm like, like I could totally see it doubling if certain things happened. And New York would prosper at some point. Obviously, I don't know when. So it was just like, will it survive long enough to get my, to get back? And I'm like halfway there, I think. Well, it was up 40% at one point. I think it's retraced a bit. So some speculations are worth it. But like, do you really need it to, don't think like, oh, it's got to double. If it doesn't double in 6 months, it's failure. If it doubles in 2 years, that's a successful investment to me. I mean, that's probably a market beating return. But yeah, that's a solid swing trade, a 2-year double. But a lot of people, like, oh, I failed, and they'll bail on it. That's tough. Bacon is Crocs for Dan. Dan, have you done DD on Crocs? Have you? I have Crocs. I bought it before the Hey Dudes financials. That was fun. Like I thought they would. Yeah, I thought Hey Dudes would be better, but the sales didn't work out. But I bought in at like low hundreds, so I'm about breaking even at this point. I didn't really want to add to it anymore. But now, actually, I want to look at it again. I haven't really looked at it since that, and that was that like 4 or 5 months ago? I just held it since then, but it's compelling. I might add to that position a little bit. Uh, holding oh boy, we're not going there. So my intelligent investor's okay. Patient investor got my attention now. Oh, okay. It seems like he has some sense to him about his growth invest. It's just funny, like when people label stuff on like people call themselves the value investors kill me on YouTube because just a lot of them are like Paul. Then there's people, your dividend or your growth investor, which a lot of them just end up being Cathie Wood acolytes. When I watch their shit, they're just literally just spouting Cathie Wood nonsense, and they don't even realize it. Maybe that all they're doing is just repeating what she's said in the past, or Elon. So I'm like, are you really a growth investor? You just seem like a clone, like to me. You seem to like all the same stocks that Cathie Wood likes, but magically you have your own opinions on stuff in your head, but you never like anything that they don't like. Let me look through comments. Peter Lynch, favorite investor. Yeah, I love Peter Lynch. I should reread his second book. I haven't read that in a long time. Oh, okay. Oh my God. Okay. So some other, they have. Oh, I am on this one still. Hold on. Nope, gotta remove that. So this is kind of cool. The Rheinmetall. It's already kind of run up a little bit, but this system is very compelling. I know you can't hear it, but so they come in. So you got this drone swarm. Here it is. It's fucking nuts. So the radar tells them how far to go before the shells come. They have another system. I don't know if it's this one. Christ. So they have another system where the ammunition is like has a range on it, so it'll go a certain distance, explode. The problem is with Ukraine, they weren't even producing that ammo. They gave them the guns, but then nobody was producing the ammo because they didn't need to, so they had to ramp up production on that. They have this one too, which just shoots straight up. This just shoots at drones with really big holes. Oh no, that one does the exploding. I'm sorry. This, yeah, you could see the exploding shells. We'll go back. I got them mixed up. Yeah, watch the top. How wild is that? So this is the radar guided one. So it brings the shell and then it explodes it down. So really cool technology. But like I said, the one thing with the laser technology, I think Raytheon's developing for drone defense, like it just doesn't make sense for combat. You would have this truck with giant lithium batteries, and it can only run the lasers for like 90 seconds before it has to recharge. Like that's just not going to fly in warfare. It's just not. To rely on charging, dude, you guys, like I've been to war. You can't rely on a fucking battery charging in warfare. That's absurd. We barely had, we had to make sure our radio batteries worked, and that was enough. Um, so that's absurd. Chemical lasers are possible because then you would just ideally shoot it, and then you could have like the chemicals in a warehouse, and you could just refill them. But that's still problematic also. So the laser defense sounds cool, but I don't see it. I think electronic warfare is interesting, and then the Rheinmetall just straight up shooting the drones down is interesting too. There's also drones that catch other drones, which is an interesting theory too. So you have drones that are designed like kamikaze into other ones or shoot nets at them. So like all this is on the table though. Like there's no good solution yet. So if you could find some new startup drone company, defense company, I mean, that could be something to pursue for a speculation. I've done one and it's like almost doubled so far. So, anyways, last topic or two these will go quick. So this was kind of funny. I just saw this story. So Morningstar calls Cathie Wood the worst wealth destroyer of retail investors. Oh no. So what did they say? Let's see. Let's go to the main story. Okay, we'll go down here. While the top wealth creators were all large, well-known names, some of the large categories. Okay. Yeah, here you go. This is what they put out. It wasn't really a news story. They just put this chart out on Morningstar. Top 15 wealth destroying funds over the past 10 years. So this is interesting. Wealth destroying. I'm assuming they're talking about retail investors. So we've got SQQQ. Okay. I mean, yeah. Yeah, you shorted it. You sucks to be you. Another ultra short. Okay. ARC. There we go. Oh, look, the one that they all talk about online. Crane Share China Internet. I see this so much goddamn talk of this stupid ETF online. Another ARC fund. PIMCO. I don't even know what that is. This ProShares Ultra Pro. Okay, another short. So this is making sense. So basically, what's destroyed wealth? Shorting the S&P and QQQ and China are basically all this. Wow, this is wild. iShares emerging market. Yeah, I kind of avoid emerging market investing. Honestly, it's not really. I don't see it. China, Bear. So basically, ARC is on the same list as all these funds that shorted S&P or QQQ and China. That's pretty bad. Like, but they show estimated wealth destroyed 7.1 billion of wealth destroyed from ARC of this fund. Oh my god, that is hilarious. Do they have the wealth creators here? Top 10 wealth destroying fund families over the past 10 years. ARC ETF trust funds estimated wealth destroyed $14 billion of wealth destroyed in ARC funds. Man. Destruction. God. It makes sense though, because they went up a lot and then people probably plowed into them like retail does when they were at their peak. And then it was just destruction from like 2021 down for ARC. So there you go. There's really not a story to this. I thought there was actually an article. I guess they were just showing that wealth over 10 years. Okay. So cool. I know. And it's funny because Kevin just met her and it's like, she's like this is kind of proof that she's harmed retail investors. And I think Fabio said that she went on a Christian podcast and said that she created ARC to save retail. I didn't listen to it yet. I should actually listen to that. I have the clip. But Yeah, so apparently no, she's not though. She has destroyed plenty of wealth. So fun. I mean, to some degree, some of that's not her fault, but she is what she is. She doesn't really, she's not ashamed of it. So even when her funds were down in 2022, she didn't care. So, mhm. Of course, do you imagine the management fees Cathie Wood gets? Because she charges like zero point 0.7 expense ratio and all the billions and billions of dollars ARC manages. She's like living on a freaking, she's living the best life ever. So Kevin just wishes he was her basically. So like a lot of these managers, like they will do well. Like the guy at Yield Max, that Jay guy I said, like he's going to do spectacular on Yield Max, but you're not going to. Nope. You're all going to get crushed if you buy those things. But that guy, Jay's living his best life right now. He just puts one out every friggin' month, a new Yield Max, and collects his management fees. She said God came to her in a dream. I'm not airing that. I don't even want to, but fun. I mean, in certain market situations, I don't even want to say what ones to give you the idea, but I could see buying ARK in certain situations as a short-term investment, because you can rely on her being as degenerate as she ever has been. But man, sucks to be people. And then the other thing, so I don't want to show the text messages. So I talked about TKO a few times. I'm still waiting for the financial or the earnings, I think, are next week. I think next Monday or two, maybe they're this week. But the only thing I mean, the cards are stacked against me investing in this. I'm not totally done with it. I only own like a small position anyways. I got in at like yeah, it was like 70 or 78 or $80. But so she sued. I had to verify this. So she sued the company, number one. So TKO is not off the hook. So TKO is part of this, Vince McMahon, and then this John, I guess he was an executive at the company. So they're all part of this. So I skimmed through this. If you want more on this, go. Legal Eagle did a video on this, and he went through some of it. Like I can't even show you. I feel like I'm going to get in trouble if I show you the text messages. The text messages that Vince McMahon supposedly, we don't know if they're, it's probably from her, so we don't know. But if those text messages are true, like holy God, he's screwed. He is so, I mean, it is bad. It is some of the most disgusting things I've ever seen texted to somebody. He basically turned this woman into like his sex slave, basically. Allegedly is what the suit is about. If this allegations are true, I don't even know what a jury awards this woman. It's not enough. Whatever they award this woman, if this is true, like 500 million, cool. Like take his money. He just sold like $700 million of WWE stock. I think he knew this was coming because he sold 680 million of stock in November. He must have seen the writing on the wall. This was coming. He still has plenty of stock. It's not like he's done with TKO. He has a huge share of WWE stock. So at this point, it's probably a no, but I'm not off the table with it. This is kind of a fun idea. I wish the UFC had more say in this company because the WWE has like half the seats on the board, and then Endeavor has half the seats, basically. So UFC doesn't really have even a seat on the table when they decide what to do in this company, which is like they're the most interesting asset in this frigging company, I think, is the UFC portion. And Dana White's not even on the board. So the management part of it's always concerned me beyond just the financials, like just how they've constructed this thing. It's kind of like a class, and like, yeah, the financials could look amazing, but you got to look at like who's running this thing. And it just seemed very problematic from the start, but it's been fun to look at. I'm not a total no yet. Because there's not a lot of opportunities to invest in sports, on the stock market. You can't invest in the NFL or the NBA. I think you're stuck with like Formula One, some soccer clubs in Europe, and then this. So you don't have lots of stuff to look at. Surprising got away with this for so long. Yeah. Oh my God. You can pull this up yourself. Just Vince McMahon PDF. Find it. If you want to see the text messages in here, boy, oh boy. But that's where that stands. So that was what I said originally I was concerned about. I'm like, Vince McMahon is kind of he is what he is. Do you really need to call him like a POS or something? Like, he's Vince McMahon. So none of this is, I mean, I'm not shocked he did this. It is crazy some person did this to another, but he's been kind of a maniac his whole life. You could argue that's why the WE worked, right? So that's that. Anybody have any, I don't know what questions you would have. Pretty much that's all I wanted to cover. I'm looking at, I'm kind of finished. I'm probably going to change my Roth to a factor style investing. I'm kind of wrapping up what I want to do with it. So I've never really put a specific plan with my Roth. It's just been like SCHD and G were just a proxy for the S&P 500, and then REITs, because REITs you put them in your Roth. Never had like a defined plan for it, like you do with your 401k. So I'm kind of like, I have like 4 funds I think I'm going to put in it as factor investing. So, but it's not totally, it's going to be my take on a factor investment portfolio, because I don't agree with the value stock ETFs for large cap. I don't think will work in the future. Things change over time. So I don't think when they did the research, it might have panned out, but I don't think large cap value, I don't see how that does better than large cap growth, given where we're about to go into with AI and, cybersecurity and the technology revolution, if you want to call it that. So it is coming. It's just, I don't think it's going to take the shape a lot of people think with Tesla or something. Oh, what did he say? But didn't this woman allow and decide to be dude? You got to read what the texts say before you think that, because no, he turned her into like his puppet. Like, he was using her as like his like freaking, you can't do this in a workplace. I don't know how else to say it. He had power and authority over her in a workplace. Like, this goes beyond like harassment. It was like disgusting what he was doing, passing her around. So you can't do that to people in society. I have people that work for me, I know. So there was an older lawsuit, but not this crazy. Film arrest called Sable when she was pressure going. Oh yeah, I remember that. Yeah, she did sue. Yeah. So I think that's it. Other than that, I don't have any. I don't know. I'm gonna look at some more military investments. I'm kind of done looking at housing investments. Everything ran up so much. I'm just gonna stick with the few I have. So I want to relook at some military stuff, because the budgets, the increases to the military spending are pretty high actually in the next budget. Like, military spending went up to like 800 something million. The Europeans are getting more active. So I might increase what I'm doing with the military. Curtis, I pitched this. I know if you're not in capital mindset, I did pitch this a few months ago. So this was a big interest of mine. And I'm pretty happy with it. I got in, let me look at the timeline. I think I pitched it here. So I got in at like the low 190s. So I'm pretty happy with it so far. But I think this company, I don't want to get into all of the nuts and bolts of it. Not here. But there's some interesting military companies beyond like Raytheon or something like that. But if you bought Raytheon, you did great. I kind of thought about it, but I'd already had my taste of Raytheon when they had the jet issue. So if you had bought it down here when they had like their initial assessments of the problems with the jets and the paint, you're 33% and you have a really good dividend paying company now at a really great price. So, but if you did that, you took the risk, because the plane issue could still get worse, because they have to do inspections for the next like 2 years. I think 2 or 3 years. They could find more extensive issues with the paint flaking and the metal on these engines. So that's, if they don't find anything, you've made a great choice. If they find really bad things happen, then maybe not. But I've already had my fill of Raytheon in the past. Well, I didn't want to get into it again. I'd rather focus on like submarines and drones, stuff, other things. Oh, you already said that. Good night. BX'd it. I don't know what that is. So that's all I got to cover for tonight. Thanks for watching and have a good day.